Hello and welcome to this video. Today I'm going to try out this Kumihimo bracelet kit in two different ways, and it comes with a lot of different yarn colors, some wooden beads, and the foam template things that you use for weaving them. And I always wanted to try them since I didn't have one as a child. I just always did knotting friendship bracelets instead of this. So I'm really curious to see how it works, and I have another idea what to test this for later, because I've seen a lot of videos that inspired me to try out a craft that is actually pretty old, so we shall see in the end if that works. But yeah, this kit was ripped open, but it doesn't seem like anything's missing. On the contrary, I actually got extra bead. I got like one extra bead or something that got stuck in the yarn, which was super nice, but I would have wished that they added like a little baggie. And I know there's paper bags out there. They didn't even need to add a resealable plastic bag or something. They could have put them in a paper bag, because you know, it's definitely very annoying and they jumped all over the place for me. But we got all these lovely colors. They are nice and colorful, but they're not too vibrant, so I think I can find something or some colors that I would wear too. And if you like vibrant colors, these are just normal embroidery floss. You can usually find cheap alternatives at the dollar store. I know I have a lot of colors from there. But yeah, it looks like for the preparation they give you all the items and the lengths of thread that you need. So let's start by sorting away the beads so they don't roll all over the place. And let's start picking out a yarn and cutting it to size. I really like this purple color, and I also really like the cream tone. I think that's what I'm going with, kind of this dark berry wine tone almost. And then just the neutral tone. And I want us to have 1 meter and several sections of these, so I'm just gonna prepare and count those off camera. And this is fairly easy. You just measure your yarn and cut it and, you know, prepare several strands. So I'm trying to count them evenly to make a nice pattern. Hope this works. They also show it with a pattern in their example, so we shall see. And then they recommend you using a pencil or something to make your knot to get it evenly, so that is what I'm going to do here. And then I'm slowly and closely trying to follow the instructions on how to start this. Again, I've never done this, and I know there's a million different patterns out there that you can do with how you cross the yarn to actually get a braid. But I wanted to try the most simple one that they suggested first, and in the instructions it mentions that the round one is definitely the easier level and the square one is definitely a bit more difficult, because the square one makes flat bands while the round one makes them rounded, and it's just much easier to follow the pattern and to start with this. So that's what I'm doing. And all you essentially do is cross the threads over and then turn it a little bit and then cross the next threads over. At least for this pattern, and this should create a spiral, so let's see how that holds up. But yeah, this actually was pretty meditative. I quite enjoyed this process. It was very simple, although I would definitely recommend not doing it over a desk because it tangles the thread more. If you can hold it in your hand higher up and have the threads hang down a bit more, they will not tangle as much. But yeah, I was a bit worried that the length they give would be for a children's arm, but it actually worked out well for my arm size too. Granted, I have thinner arms. If you have thicker wrists, you may have to make them longer, but yeah, as you can see, I actually have quite a decent length. Also in the beginning, I didn't think I would have much progress because it was a super short stump, but then I pulled on it slightly and it stretched and stretched. It was crazy. I didn't have it on camera. But yeah, it definitely is more than enough for my wrist with the amount they give you. It definitely got short towards the end though, so, you know, would recommend to check, and maybe if you have a thicker wrist to definitely make a longer strand of yarn that you start out with. But I guess that's practice to know how much you need. So they wanted you to just knot the end and then just like thread the knot through the loop section here, but I didn't like how fray the yarn was, so I decided to loop around another piece of this neutral colored yarn just to like make it stronger and have the threads be like unified, because right now if you try to loop anything through there, chances are you're like tangling all the like the ends here. So I just took a needle and a piece of thread and I'm just gonna wind them around all the way and try to hide the thread in the end in like pulling it through the knot. But yeah, very simple, but I think it adds a nice bit of like ease for like putting it on yourself when you want to. I think it just looks better than having the raw like thread in the beginning. And I'm pretty positive that you can like use a technique to where you make one of the threads longer than you need and then wind it around before you make the actual beginning knot, so that you don't have to like do strange knots or anything. But yeah, I just went around in loops with my needle here, trying to organize the threads so they lay nice and flat, trying to pull so they are even. And it definitely, I think, looks way better in the end than like what it looked like before. And then I also found a button, and I always made sure to test if it actually fits through the loop. And I chose this purple button here. This is like a square button. It was just a leftover button that I cut off of one of my old blouses. And it fits through here perfectly, hopefully also when I added the thread. And I wanted to make this like a little bit more neat looking, so I decided to thread like part of it through the button and then part of it like pull it through the end with a needle. So I did like tiny knots in between the sections here just to tighten everything. Like I think I tied every 4 strands or something instead of tying the whole bunch to have like a bulky knot. I wanted to have like smaller knots that wouldn't be as bulky, which that held up really well. You just have to make sure that you're like not accidentally threading the wrong threads and undoing your weave. But yeah, then I just picked out all the single threads and used the needle to slowly pull them through. And this got exceedingly more difficult the more I actually added, because, you know, of course, if you have many threads, there's a lot more tension. So towards the end, to actually get the needle through, I had to use my pliers. But I think it was worth it. It looks super neat. I think there's definitely probably a better way to do this, but with the button in the end here instead of the knot, I think that definitely helps to like weave on all the ends. I'm pretty positive that you can't do that with all patterns. Like, I don't know if it's actually achievable when you have the flat braid, but for the round one, it definitely worked. So I'm definitely happy that I broke my fingers there. But yeah, for the next one, for the flat one, I wanted to try cutting one of the threads a little bit longer. And for this one, I'm actually using 3 colors, a light blue, a tealish color, and a purple. And I cut the purple just a little bit longer, and then I clamped them with a baggy clamp, you know, like a chips back clamp. And this is just so they wouldn't like be all over the place. And then I slowly went and threaded the purple around. I did tie a knot in the beginning just to hold it in place. And then, you know, I looped it around, tested if it fits around the pencil nicely that I make the knot on. And once I had the length that I wanted, I just made the normal knot that you were supposed to make in the beginning. And it definitely looked much neater than the technique where I wanted around later with the needle. And then it was time, of course, to organize all my threads after and trying to get them onto the board, which this was definitely a bit more difficult to wrap my head around than the previous one, but I think it's manageable. You just need to remember the steps at all times, and this one definitely had way more steps. I also found that sometimes it can be a bit harder to sort the colors neatly without the beginning twisting if like your yarn is like not in the right order in the knot, if that makes sense. So like the beginning may always look a little bit wonky, but yeah, this one was a bit confusing since you had to use the sides in an uneven way, while the round one was like very even and the same pattern with just a little rotation. This one you didn't rotate, you held it straight and you tried to make it very even. But yeah, the back looks a bit messy, and I did notice I made a mistake at one part one time, but that's okay. But the front looks really neat, I have to say, and it has a nice like arrow shape pattern. And for this one, since it's flat, I decided to just try the standard, like not to close this off. And now we get to the crazy part. Yes, I cut a strand of hair from the back of my head. I like literally just went in there, grabbed the section and cut it because I want to try something. I always was fascinated by the Victorian hair bracelets and hair ornaments and stuff that they did. And I wanted to see if I can achieve it with one of these foam templates. I don't have any hair products, so I hope this will work with just like some water or something. My hair is pretty strong and sturdy, so I may struggle with that a little bit since it's like quite resistant to being finely braided. But I'm trying to just like work with it how it is. Hopefully it will work out. If not, I may try this again, maybe with some products. I know that people usually have like a wooden base that they use with like weighted, they're kind of like the standard bobbins for bobbin lace, which I do have, but mine are quite light actually, so I don't know if they would be enough. But I've seen people use those when they hair on and then like use those as weights. And I think that may help because it pulls the hair more evenly, because I definitely struggle. As you can see, my hair is like curving upwards quite a bit. It's resisting a lot to staying in this curved shape. But yeah, it took my time to try and evenly section this out, which was honestly pretty decently difficult. I thought that I was about to like have to count all my single hairs to get this evenly, but I think I managed pretty well. Trying to like just have even strands. It did take me some tries for some of them, longer than I want to admit. I spent like a good half an hour trying to sort these. But yeah, I think I got it in the end, and then I tried the standard pattern that we had in the beginning, just very simple. And it did work, but I noticed that, yeah, I had to hold the hair in the back pretty strongly, and it always wanted to slip out, and it started fraying pretty quickly. I made sure in the beginning to sort out some of the shorter hairs that I got in my little strand here, but apparently there was still enough short hairs that like it still frayed quite a bit. And yeah, I don't know how this will turn out. This may be a hot mess, but maybe I can make something out of this. I don't expect to get a full bracelet, but maybe I can make like some little ornaments or something that I can use for like some piece of jewelry. We shall see. But yeah, these are way thinner than the previous strands, so this is gonna take me way longer. And my technique was to like hold them on the bottom, like weave 1-2 strands and then pull them more tight in hopes that I would get an even braid. And by the end I actually decided, hey, why not try to actually add weights? So I found some glass beads that I had that had pretty decent weight, and yeah, no, my hair's too stubborn for this. Way too stubborn for this. They were way too light. It did not make a difference at all, besides the ends getting tangled a little bit more for some reason. It looked like it would work in the beginning, because they were pulling a bit more flat without me pulling them in the back, but no, the pattern like came out the exact same. So yeah, sadly not. And as you can see, it's not as tight of a weave as we got before. It has like kind of the spiral effect, which I'm not mad about. I think this looks pretty. It just has a lot of stray hairs. I tried using my all-purpose glue because I know that you can actually wash it off of at least my hair. So that was like my solution to maybe get it a bit more tightly spun. But yeah, the glue actually started rubbing off the more I touched it, so that didn't work. I thought it would last a bit longer since it's technically resin-based glue, but no, it didn't last at all. It like rubbed off after like 3 or 4 rounds and the hair started to fray again. I don't know, I think you need like, I don't know what they use, maybe a strong hair glue or hairspray. But then I would also change the texture of the hair a lot, right? I don't know. If somebody of you ever done like any kind of Victorian hair braiding or hair braided jewelry at all, let me know in the comments. Maybe if I can figure something else out and figure out a way that it actually works. By the way, since I started this, it has been like 3 or 4 months, so my hair has grown back completely. I don't have a hole or anything, and definitely no noticeable missing hair, luckily. But yeah, as you can see, the glue definitely made a difference in how tightly it's woven. So I actually used like some tiny elastic bands and tied off my hair, and then I tried to get all the frizz off by just cutting it, which I thought I got a lot of, but in the end I was proven wrong. And then I decided, hey, maybe I can tame it a little bit and set it, most importantly, so the braid wouldn't untangle, in some hot water. So I got some water decently warm and I dunked the braid in here. And this will also loosen up the glue and like make it not look as like crazy. And then I bought these end caps, and these are silver plated because I wanted silver. I wear a lot of silver jewelry, and I only had like gold end caps, and these came in like a lot of different sizes and they work super well. I just had to glue up the ends beforehand after I cut them and still keep on the elastic bands, and then before the glue fully dried I used this little like needle point tip to like shove in all the wisps that are hanging out. By the end I had like 1 longer ornament and 2 smaller ones. And then I just tried to trim them a little bit more, and I think what I'm gonna do with them is for the longer one I could imagine like wearing that as a bracelet add-on. Like you just put a chain in the back and then just have this as like the front piece, and for the smaller ones maybe I'm gonna make like some kind of hanging necklace ornaments with maybe a like stone or something. But either way, I think they actually look pretty neat. Obviously the closer you look, the more frizzy they look, and the glue like left some tiny spots on the smaller ones, which I would have loved to avoid, but I guess that's what I get for not having the right products. But this was definitely a very interesting project to try. I had a lot of fun making the other bracelets though. It was very calming and a very easy process. I mean, I guess it depends on which pattern you make, but you can find a lot of free patterns online. So I definitely may want to go back there and like make some straps or something. Like not just bracelets, but like actual straps or something for, I don't know, some bags, or if I sew something. Because I think that would be a nice addition. I have made some before with like one of those like tiny knitting doll things, where you make like an all-cord strap essentially. And that one looked really neat, but I can imagine that like this braidedness adds another level of like color and just like, you know, look to that project overall. But yeah, definitely super fun to try this. And again, let me know in the comments down below if you have any tips for the hair braiding. Yeah. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and let me know in the comments, have you ever done Kumihimo, or have you like ever done any friendship bracelet knotting techniques or weaving techniques at all? And if so, tell me also which one you prefer personally. And as always, I hope you have a great day. See you next time. Bye bye!